Where do we start? One of the questions that kind of got me thinking was when you spoke about virgin plastic versus recycling plastic. And what I thought was, hey, we have the plastic islands in the Pacific. We have so much plastic floating over. Why don't we get this done, turning the problem into raw material and produce new plastic and don't produce virgin plastic anymore because it's bad. Now you're telling me that's all BS because we should forget about recycling plastic and push more plastic into the world, which feels totally wrong by all information that I have, but I guess I have the wrong information.
Well, I'm not, look, this is the moving target, right? So I think you got to give a lot of grace to people who worked on recycling. They've been trying really hard to solve the problem, and we do need new technologies, especially if we want to have any hope of getting away from making virgin plastics, right? But but it's disingenuous not to recognize the fact that it takes a lot of energy to separate and collect these materials, sort them out, heat them up, melt them down, refine them. Like there's a lot of energy involved in that. If you are burning coal or natural gas to do that, then you're not really winning. It's performative. So I think it's the kind of thing that we want to solve, but you got to solve energy first. That's what I think. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just do arithmetic. You don't need to, Navier-Stokes equations or Maxwell's equations to solve this. You just need arithmetic. Add up the amount of energy being used and add up how much emissions you're getting from it in both scenarios. It's not that hard, and we just don't hardly ever do that. So
Okay. Can you talk or shall I ask a question for you? Okay.
Yeah, no, I can talk. It's a delight to meet you. I'm wondering what part of Alaska are you in? Fairbanks, Anchorage?
I'm from Anchorage. I don't live there anymore.
Okay. Well, how old were you when you left Alaska?
About 25.
Okay, so I'm guessing you spent a good chunk of your time beyond the basement, also out in the wilds. Is that true?
Yeah, I spent probably more time than you on the mountain.
So my question is, how would you characterize your relationship with nature? Because a lot of these solutions, I think all of the solutions you've recommended are all tech-based. And I'm wondering what you have taken from your time in nature to guide your development of these tech solutions.
I think the if you look back at that first slide I showed, um, the idea of building Blue Origin is to turn Earth into a wildlife refuge. We're all here, we're living here, we've made a lot of people. People to be taken care of require a lot of resources. And so the technologies that I'm talking about are ways that we could provide what we need to take care of those people. Now, you could argue that we made too many people, um, or that we should not make as many people going forward. And that's kind of a totally different philosophical discussion. But I think that as long as we made these people, we got to take care of them. So I'm pretty focused on that. I'm pretty lucky in a sense. I spent half of my life in the wilderness, you know, really in nature, more than I think I needed for one lifetime. But, it was a lot. And I think that the more time I spend around people who didn't get to do that, the more I realize that they're missing something, right? And so I think you know, there's a opportunity here to make a world that takes care of people, that's lower impact on the environment, and gets people a chance to, if a robot takes your job or you get enough extra free time, then maybe you could go spend some time in nature. I think a lot of people don't get a sense that they can afford to do that right now.
And Kat is on the cable car, I think in Whistler at the moment, as she's in Ted in Vancouver, but she's from Alaska, so
Oh,
she
yeah, I love Whistler. Yeah.
knows well.
Where are you from in Alaska?
A homer.
Oh, I lived in Soldotna for 5 years when I was a kid. So yeah, I know Homer really well.
Nice. Well, thank you
Yeah.
for all you're doing. I've learned several things, especially as it regards to uranium, because in addition to being a climate coach, I'm also an anti-nuclear advocate. So you've opened my eyes to understanding the capacity. Now we need to do is just do it, find the political
Yeah,
will.
I get it. You know, it's a anachronistic thing to be anti-nuclear reactors, though. Be anti-nuclear bombs.
Right.
Better.
That's what I'm up to. Thank you.
Selma, you're
All
going
right.
next.
Hi, Pablos. I think we met in Vienna like sometime 2010, 11 or something like that.
Wow.
So ages
Wow, I
ago.
remember being there. Yeah.
Yeah. So really ages ago, it was fascinating. Then you were presented as a hacker. So that was a different
Now
time.
I'm hacking everything but computers. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just curious to know too. I mean, you've worked on so many different things with so many different teams, and when we look at what you were talking about, the SDGs are, for example, the best research that has been made in terms of what we really need to change and move. Is there something that you're specifically or more especially interested in or driven to in terms of these challenges that you work on, just in terms of your personal? I mean, I know
Yeah.
you're working on many things, but is there something that you're really, really passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can kind of see it. I've over time veered more and more towards solving energy. And the reason is I wanted to solve other problems, but I kept running into this same kind of thing I described with the recycling, which is that you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. You know, I want to solve clean water. Well, that's an energy problem,
Mm.
right? And we could go come up with more and more inventions for solving clean water, you know, clean for cleaning water or making you know, purifying water and things, but they're not useful if you don't have energy solved. And so I kind of keep going back to that. And I've been looking for really big levers on energy. So I showed you two space solar modern reactors. But I'm looking for even more, and we've been investing in other ones and trying to advance new technologies that could help there. But it's not, I don't only do energy, I do all these other things too, because I want to move as far as we can, as fast as we can on making things better.
All right. And just one more quick question. You're investing into deep tech too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I run a deep tech venture fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you looking also at European startups or scale-ups or not really?
Yeah, we only do pre-seed deals. I'm usually the first investor for
Okay.
these kind of mad scientists. We've done, I think we have three companies in Europe out of our portfolio is 26 companies so far. So you can kind of see the ratio. I have another one I'm about to do, I think, in Europe. But um, you know, we try to domicile them in the US if possible. We're having a really hard time uh, with the startup situation in Europe, and European startups because of the not because of the startups, but because of the regulatory venture environment in Europe. It's been very difficult for us to deal with that. So I've done a few. I'm a little annoyed about them. And the you know, as many as possible, we try to domicile them in the US. I love the European research environment. We're finding amazing technologies in Europe. We have founders, even a bunch of our founder in companies in the US or European founders. So I'm happy with all that, but you kind of got to play to your strengths. And right now, Europe's strengths are not right in that kind of early stage startup sweet spot.
All
So
right. Thank you. I'll get back to you on that.
And
yeah,
I'll
fix
connect
it.
you anyways. I'm moving on to Sabine.
Hey, Pablos, amazing insights. I'm super excited about the space solar panels, so I will look up some of this as well. Because yeah, energy is the main source. I was dedicating my last year to circular economy, and actually, yeah, we were successful with plastics, with a real big
Yeah.
company. I have two follow-up questions on your recycling on gold. I assume they have a lot of chemicals using, so I want to figure out more about this and get your opinion on rare earth materials and also lithium. So can we approach the same, or is all the getting it back more harmful because of the chemicals we need? What is your opinion on this side?
So the technology that I described or showed is called deep eutectic solvents. You could look them up. Historically, they've been difficult to use meaningfully or economically in recycling metals because you couldn't recycle the solvents. This team has solved that, so they get to mostly recycle the chemicals and reuse them. And that's been a huge breakthrough in making this possible. And so that's part of why it's economical to do now when it wasn't before with that technology. In other cases, we have another team doing metals like copper and nickel and zinc and things like that with molten sulfide electrolysis. So it's a different approach. But that's really useful in mining as well. And so these are zero emissions, approaches to refining metals. And so the technologies are getting really good, way better than like smelting. What we've been doing is like burn coal to make a lot of heat to just melt and burn everything and then separate it out. So that you're not even like in the US, we're not even allowed to build smelters. So we're finally getting the technologies we need to make this a lot cleaner and a lot better.
Can I do the second questions right now? Yeah.
Right.
And for the solar panel, the storage problem, what is your take on the solid batteries that it will be the next generation to the lithium? You see this as the problem solved then?
I think people are making grid scale storage sound plausible by basically cutting industry out of their equation. And so you could say, all right, grid scale storage doesn't really work, but we're putting like power walls, we're putting battery packs in people's homes. And there might be some cases where that makes sense. You're being fed by solar during the day, you're charging your power wall, you use it to get through the night when you don't need a lot of power anyway, or you use your Tesla to power your house through the night and you can't drive to work in the morning. I don't know, something like that. So these are sort of stopgaps. I don't think that they really add up very well in my experience. What I care about is base load. What's the grid scale that's actually needed? If you add up all the batteries, I think like all the battery deployments in the entire world right now, you could maybe power New York through the night, New York City through the night. And that's it. I mean, it's a big city, but it's one of many big cities. So I don't think we're being honest with ourselves about the status of that. And that's if you used all of the batteries in the entire world. The biggest deployment of battery storage in the world is in China. A single deployment, it's enough to power like Spokane through the night, like a town of a couple 100,000 people. It's not a meaningful solution. And that's without even getting into what's the mining footprint for those batteries and what's the life cycle for it. To me, I'm very disappointed that the reason I'm frustrated, and you hear it in my voice, is that when people oversell a technology, that's disingenuous. That makes it harder for everyone else, right? So when you hear me overselling a technology, I'm showing you the potential, but I'm trying to be honest about the potential. And when you see something like what's happening with grid scale storage, we're overselling the potential, and I think that's disingenuous. So that's why I'm frustrated.
So you sum it up that the storage with the solar panel is not the solution. So you don't see also next generation. So you skip
obviously, yeah, people disagree with me. Obviously, Elon Musk disagrees with me. He thinks we're going to make batteries and make solar work. And maybe on a long time horizon, that's true. Maybe if you figured out good batteries, figured out how to make them cheap, built enough of them, but I think that's going to take something like centuries, not decades.
Thank you.
We're racing to the top of the hour, and I was afraid that this is going to be a quick hour, and it was a quick hour. I have a question, a very personal question, because one of the things that I strongly believe in is that we live in a time where you can put yourself on a table with people who actually do important work. And when you sit together on a table with people who do important work and you have a conversation with them, you get information firsthand, you can make more informed decisions, and it's a lot more accurate than what you might read of an interpretation of some journalist, blogger, or whoever shoots it out in the world, and you don't even know if that person is 20 or 45 and has any experience in what that person is writing about. I've been going to Silicon Valley for 13 years. I decided not to go this year because I don't like what's going on at the moment. I live in Dubai. I think there's a lot of very interesting stuff going on in Dubai, but I'm asking you, where are the places where you have to sit with these people on the table where important work is done?
Yeah, I mean, look, I spend my time trying to go to labs and garages because I'm working with very early stage founders. It's not what I always did. I used to have, my own lab and smart people came to me. But I think that it's you know, what you want to do is, yeah, I think you got the right idea. Surround yourself with the smartest people you can find that you can learn from. That because a lot of the learning process, you just have to be in, you have to be in the thick of it. You have to be doing something, and then you can learn in that context. And so finding the people who are in the game is very important. And look, Silicon Valley does have a critical mass of smart and interesting people who are doing stuff. That's one great thing about it. It's hard to find that everywhere. It's not that you can't find the individuals, what you can't find is the community. And so I think one of the things that's really hard to stomach is that I've been all over the world. I've seen the Silicon Valley of South America and the Silicon Valley of Europe and all this. And what they're missing is just that you need a community of people who will give you the benefit of the doubt when you're trying to do new things. And that's just so important. And so you kind of get that for free in Silicon Valley. And maybe you could get that for free in Israel. I don't know anywhere else in the world where you could get that for free. You're going to have to work really hard to build your own little community.